Empty space is stealing energy from tomorrow, and I'm about to prove it using the most mind-shattering physics crime ever discovered. Right now, the space around your hand is committing the biggest heist in the universe, borrowing energy from the future to create particles today, then making them disappear before anyone notices. This isn't metaphor, this isn't science fiction, this is quantum mechanics caught red-handed breaking the most fundamental law in physics, energy conservation, and it's happening everywhere around you, billions of times per second. The empty air between your fingers is seething with invisible criminals, virtual particles that pop into existence by stealing energy from tomorrow, exist for impossible brief moments, then vanish by paying back what they stole. But here's what will shatter your understanding of reality. These energy thieves aren't just theoretical, they're creating measurable forces, powering the fundamental interactions that hold the universe together, and generating effects you can detect in your own home. The future is being robbed, and you're living off the proceeds. Let me show you the crime scene. Right now, hold your hands about an inch apart, feel that empty space between them. It's not empty, it's a bustling marketplace of energy theft where matter and antimatter pairs are being created and destroyed faster than your brain can process. Electron-positron pairs flash into existence by borrowing energy from future quantum states, exist for 10 to the power of negative 21 seconds, then annihilate each other to pay back the borrowed energy before the universe's accounting system notices the theft. But sometimes they get caught. When the universe catches virtual particles in the act, they become real particles permanently stolen from the future's energy budget. This is how the Large Hadron Collider creates new particles. It catches virtual particles in the act of stealing energy and forces them to become permanent parts of our reality. Every particle ever detected in a lab was once a virtual criminal stealing energy from tomorrow. But it gets worse, much worse. These virtual energy thieves are running protection rackets throughout the universe. They're creating the forces that hold your atoms together, the electromagnetic fields that make your electronics work, and the quantum interactions that enable your brain to think, the strong nuclear force holding the protons in your atomic nuclei together. Virtual particles called gluons constantly stealing and repaying energy to create the binding force, the electromagnetic force letting you see light. Virtual photons borrowing energy from the future to carry electromagnetic interactions between charged particles. Even gravity might operate through virtual particles called gravitons stealing energy from tomorrow to create the curvature of space-time. Your entire existence depends on cosmic energy theft happening continuously at every point in space. Feynman revolutionized physics by mapping this criminal network in QED, the strange theory of light and matter. He showed that what we call forces are actually virtual particles stealing energy from the future to facilitate interactions between real particles. When two electrons repel each other, they're not directly pushing apart. They're exchanging virtual photons that borrowed energy from future quantum states to carry the repulsive force between them. The electromagnetic field around a charged particle isn't a static field. It's a constantly churning cloud of virtual photons stealing and repaying energy, so quickly that the theft appears as a steady force. But here's the part that will break your brain completely. This energy theft is measurable. You can detect it. You can even harness it. Take two metal plates and place them extremely close together in a vacuum, closer than the wavelength of light. Something impossible happens. They attract each other with a force that shouldn't exist. This is the Casimir effect, and it's virtual particles getting caught stealing energy. Between the plates, only virtual photons with wavelengths smaller than the gap can exist. But outside the plates, virtual photons of all wavelengths are stealing energy from the future. The pressure difference created by this selective energy theft pushes the plates together. The force is tiny but measurable, about the weight of a small coin pressing down on an area the size of a football field when the plates are separated by the width of a human hair. But it proves that empty space has energy, lots of energy, more energy than you can imagine. If you could harness all the virtual particle energy theft happening in a single cubic centimeter of empty space, you'd have more power than all the nuclear reactors on Earth combined. The vacuum is not empty. It's an infinite reservoir of stolen energy that we haven't figured out how to access yet. And here's what really demolishes your understanding of energy and reality. According to Feynman's quantum field theory, the distinction between real particles and virtual particles is artificial. All particles are field excitations, stealing energy from the quantum vacuum to exist. The electron in your computer screen isn't fundamentally different from the virtual electron stealing energy in empty space. It's just a virtual particle that borrowed so much energy from the future that it became a permanent part of reality's accounting system. Every particle in your body was once a virtual particle that successfully stole enough energy to become real. You are not made of matter. You are made of organized energy theft, virtual particles that borrowed enough from the future to create the stable patterns you call atoms, molecules, cells, and consciousness. But wait, there's something even more disturbing about this cosmic crime network. The energy being stolen isn't coming from some distant future, it's being stolen from multiple possible futures simultaneously, creating a branching network of energy debt that spans parallel quantum realities. As Feynman showed in the Feynman lectures on physics, virtual particles exist in quantum superposition, borrowing energy from all possible future states simultaneously until measurement forces them to choose which future they'll repay. The virtual particle between your hands right now is stealing energy from every possible future version of the universe, creating a cosmic Ponzi scheme where today's reality is funded by borrowing from infinite tomorrows. Every quantum interaction is a negotiation between present needs and future possibilities, with virtual particles acting as brokers stealing energy from futures that may never come to pass. This connects to something profound about the nature of time itself. If virtual particles can steal energy from the future, then the future must already exist in some sense, otherwise there would be nothing to steal from. Your present moment is funded by energy borrowed from future moments that exist simultaneously in quantum superposition, creating a temporal economy where past, present, and future are all creditors and debtors in an infinite cycle of energy theft. But here's the most mind-bending part of all. According to Feynman's understanding of antimatter, the virtual particle pairs stealing energy around you right now include your own antimatter twins, virtual versions of every atom in your body, briefly existing before annihilating with their matter partners. Right now, virtual copies of your own atoms are popping into existence around you, stealing energy from possible futures where you exist as antimatter instead of matter. The space around your body is filled with temporary antimatter versions of yourself created by energy theft from parallel quantum realities where your matter-antimatter assignment got flipped. You are not just surrounded by virtual particles. You are surrounded by virtual versions of yourself stealing energy from alternate quantum futures. As Feynman understood in The Character of Physical Law, this reveals something disturbing about the nature of existence itself. Physical reality isn't a fixed structure, it's an ongoing negotiation between virtual possibilities borrowing energy from future states. You don't just exist, you continuously steal the energy to exist from future versions of yourself across infinite quantum possibilities. Your thoughts, your memories, your sense of being a continuous self, all of it is funded by energy borrowed from quantum futures that may never be repaid. Let's return to where we started. Empty space is stealing energy from tomorrow. Does that make sense now? The space around you isn't empty, it's a criminal enterprise where virtual particles run protection rackets, steal energy from the future, and create the forces that make your existence possible. You're not living in empty space, you're living inside an energy Ponzi scheme where present reality is funded by borrowing from infinite quantum futures. Tomorrow, when you move your hand through empty air, remember you're moving through a bustling marketplace of energy thieves whose crime spree makes your existence possible. The vacuum isn't empty, it's full of stolen energy. And somehow, impossibly, that theft has organized itself into patterns complex enough to contemplate their own criminal nature. You are virtual particles made permanent through successful energy theft. And that might be the most incredible crime in the universe. But here's the most disturbing part of all. This cosmic crime network is getting more sophisticated every moment. Modern physics has discovered that virtual particles aren't just stealing energy, they're stealing information, creating temporary copies of existing particles, and even stealing mass from future quantum states. In particle accelerators, scientists have learned to weaponize this energy theft. They create high-energy environments where virtual particles are forced to steal so much energy from the future that they become permanently real, adding new matter to our universe's inventory. The Higgs boson, the God particle that gives all other particles their mass, was discovered by catching virtual Higgs particles in the act of stealing energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations. Every new particle discovery is really the discovery of a new type of virtual criminal that scientists have learned to catch and make permanent. But it gets even more mind-bending when you realize what this means for the nature of mass itself. According to quantum field theory, mass is really energy theft made permanent. The protons and neutrons in your atomic nuclei don't have fixed mass. They have dynamic mass created by virtual particles constantly stealing and repaying energy inside them. Most of your body's mass doesn't come from the quarks that make up your protons and neutrons. It comes from virtual particles stealing energy so quickly that the theft manifests as measurable mass. You are mostly stolen energy pretending to be matter. Right now, virtual particles inside your atoms are stealing enough energy from the quantum vacuum to account for 99% of your body weight. The actual matter particles would weigh about as much as a paperclip. Your physical existence is 99% successful energy theft, 1% actual matter. Let's return to where we started. Empty space is stealing energy from tomorrow. You're not living in empty space, you're living inside an energy Ponzi scheme where present reality is funded by borrowing from infinite quantum futures. The vacuum isn't empty, it's full of stolen energy organized into patterns complex enough to contemplate their own crime. You are virtual particles made permanent through the greatest heist in physics, stealing enough energy from tomorrow to become real today, and somehow that theft has learned to wonder at its own impossible existence.